Welcome to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and it's great to be on in the month of October. Oh my God, it's October already. This year has really flown by. Happy Tuesday to everybody. We have a really special show for you today. The Way Out Recovery Hour is brought to you by KHTS Radio. You can live stream this you can listen live in two different places, AM 1220 if you're out there in your car or coming up on your lunch break, or you're sitting at work, AM 1220 or FM 98.1. You can also go to KHTS Radio Facebook page and watch the live stream right now. It is the Way Out Recovery Hour is also brought to you by The Way Out. We are an intensive outpatient program for adolescents and adults, and we work with their families as well. We are located on the corner of Plum Canyon and Bouquet. Our physical address, 28118 Bouquet Canyon. Come on over anytime and pay a visit to us. Our doors are open to you, especially if you want to talk about any of the issues that are going on with you or a loved one or in your neighborhood. We are free and open to talk about that stuff all the time. We believe in opening those conversations, and we absolutely believe that asking for help is the first step. So if you or a loved one is suffering with substance abuse issues, please don't hesitate to call somebody, whether that's your clergyman, your pastor, your friend, your teacher, the sheriff's department, the city. Call somebody. And you can always call us and locate us. We are at 661-296-4444. Again, 296-4444. You can go to our website at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com, or give me an email directly at bob@thewayoutrocoveryscv.com, and I will answer any of those emails. You can also send emails on our website. And again, there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in talking about, the problems that we have. And in fact, healing begins when we start asking for help. Today we have a very special show lined up for you. In the interest of asking for help, one of the helpful organizations that is out here, maybe even the most helpful organizations that a lot of people don't know about, is a little thing over at the Sheriff's Department in combination with the city. Sheriff's Department and city work together with this, right?
Yeah, they do.
It's called the J Team, the Juvenile Intervention Team. And today on the show with us is Travis Sabadin. Travis, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Bob? Good to be here.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about what the J Team does, how you as a Santa Clarita citizen can access their services, what they provide, and the good work that they've been doing. Travis, before we begin, so you're new to the J Team, right? Relatively?
I'm the newbie. You got it.
How's that
Team.
Feel, being a new part of the team?
You got to start somewhere. No, they've been great. The J Team's been around since 2010. We've got a sergeant, a detective, 2 deputies, and then I'm the civilian. I'm actually a retired deputy. So I came in kind of knowing the lingo a little bit, what everything was going on. I've been there for 4 months now, so I'm learning the ropes kind of out on my own. I'm replacing Bob Walksmith. You can remember Bob.
Yep.
Now, so I came in doing that, helping them out. And it's really the J Team. It started out as a juvenile, and we were actually helping and going out there and contacting the juveniles. Now we've bumped it up. We've noticed the resource that we have been able to provide is now helping such a wider range of people.
Right.
So we've taken our age group and we've actually bumped it up now.
Maybe time for a name change.
Yeah,
so
that's why we went from juvenile
right?
to J. Exactly. Then a lot of people say, hey, what's the J stand for? And we have to say juvenile. Yeah, no, trust me, that's gone through the office. We've actually thought about doing that part of it. But the J Team is simple. We've got 3 basic entities that we like to be a part of, and we say that that's what we're here to do. And the first one is to educate. We want to educate mainly parents. Sometimes we get into the juveniles. We want to educate them. And then it's the parents' job to go ahead and educate their kids, help the kids out. Then the second part is intervention. Okay. That's my job. I'm the intervention specialist on the team. We all work together. We're all part of it every single day. But that's where my wheelhouse is. That my cup of tea comes in the intervention part. We show up to provide the help. Then there's the enforcement side. We got a couple deputies on the team that they provide the enforcement side. I'm not involved so much in the enforcement at all. And that's one of the biggest things I tell people when I have conversations with them is don't look at the badge. That has nothing to do with me. That is not why I'm here. I'm not here to put hooks on you. I'm here to provide you the help that you want, the help that you need. So that's what we do. There's 3 different parts. I do get involved a little bit in the enforcement because I need to know what's going on still on the streets with the ride-alongs and watching these guys go do their job. You know what I mean? You got to keep up with the lingo. The other day I was calling marijuana dope, and the guy corrected me, going, "No, we call it weed now." I said, "Oh, my bad. I'm still calling it dope."
Get hip on the names.
Exactly. You know, I was that far behind. I said, "Oh shoot, I got to call it weed now." So, you know, still stay out there, still stay current, still stay involved. So
my 12-step sponsor calls it grass.
There,
it tells you how old he is.
There it is. There it is. Well, I didn't call it the weed because way back when there was weeds and seeds and stuff in it. Now, you know, it's all so strong, and the percentage of the THC is just ridiculous. So I didn't think you would want to call it weed because of the reference to the grass, but.
So when we come back after this first break, we're going to break down each one of those parts, if you don't mind. We're going to break down what the education piece looks like, how you provide that. We're going to break down the intervention piece, you know, who you're working with that, what that looks like, what a conversation with somebody that may be using looks like, and of course what our local sheriff's department is doing in terms of enforcement. You know, we live in a very safe city, and it's because the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department is out here doing such a wonderful job. So when we come back after this first break, we'll break that down, and then we'll spend the second half talking about what parents might be able to look for in terms of what their kids are using, or if they think that they're using. We'll do some age breakdowns, things like that.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
So this is the Way Out Recovery Hour. You have just heard what we're going to do on our show. Please stay tuned and get a really good education from the J team who's out there in the trenches working with the kids and the young adults that are using the drugs in the Santa Clarita Valley. And so this is going to be a great show with a great education for any of our listeners. We will be right back after this. Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and we are in studio today with Travis from the J team. That is the juvenile intervention team. But make no mistake, they work. So what's the oldest age group? Maybe 40. Okay,
yeah, we'll go to
40 and under.
Yeah,
40
I mean,
and
you know, it's like you get past 40, you're just stubborn. You're gonna be stuck in your ways, you know.
You're either done.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
You're either done. Okay, look at him. He goes, you know what I mean, Bob, old man. So yeah, once you're past 40, you're either too tired to do it. I got sober when I was 37, and I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. It's too much work. It's hard, man. So what's the youngest age that you see out there?
The youngest I've been a part of personally is 12 years old.
Okay. Which is it's very consistent with what across the board. For any listeners, you know, most drug use starts between the ages of 12 and 17.
Exactly.
And a lot of it today is even closer to 12, I think, than 17, certainly.
Yeah, they're getting started a lot earlier. And they're getting started, we talked about in the previous segment, about the levels and the concentration of the THC. They're starting lower on the weed. Only problem they're running into is the percentage and the strength of the THC now is so much stronger than when it was back before. We had talked about, you know, 7.5% THC back when it was weed and stuff, and now they're looking at 25-30%. So the kids are already starting at a much higher level than we ever started and not working their way up. So they're
and some of the concentrated cannabis as well.
Exactly it.
You've got up to I've seen or I've read about 90% THC
absolutely.
levels.
Oh shoot.
In some of the what do they call it, wax, right?
You got it.
So let's kind of go through that. So I get 12, 13, 14 years old. What are the typical drugs that you're seeing in that age group right there? Primarily marijuana?
Primarily marijuana, yes. A lot of it, like you even started mentioning about the wax and stuff, the vaping. The vaping now has become a big deal.
Right.
Because one, from the law enforcement aspect, is you could always smell the smell as a kid when someone was doing marijuana. You always had that definitely go-to smell. Well, now, with the wax and stuff, all that odorless, they're covering it up and actually being advertised to them as strawberry, mango, whatever. You know, they're going after the kids on here, have this great little fruity flavored smell.
With THC in the concentrate?
THC in it, absolutely. Okay. So it becomes hard. So a perfect example is talking to a mom about it. Oh, no, my kid's not on drugs, my kid's not on drugs. Well, if you notice any difference behavior or anything, we start talking about the kid's bedroom and stuff. And she goes, no, he's got a new strawberry smell in his room. I said, what do you mean? A new air freshener. I said, how long has that air freshener been around? She
Right.
said, for 3 months. I said, well, I know he's been doing drugs in your house for the last 3 months because
Yeah.
I got the proof of it that he has. And she's, oh my gosh, she's just blown away by it that's actually happening in her house.
Right. And so how are you said marketing to the kids? So
Yeah.
with the fruity smells and everything like that, but they can't. It's not legal to directly
Nope,
market
nope.
to kids.
Think of,
How does that happen?
Right. Well, think of anything that has to do with the vaping or anything with vaping. Look at it like alcohol. It's the same thing. 21 and over, 21. It's the same exact concept. That's why I tell you it's the easiest way. We don't want to get in the weeds with all the sections and the codes and stuff. Just think of it just like alcohol and the possession of it.
And the laws
Period.
are pretty much the same. I mean, they're consistent with that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's although it's not directly like nobody's advertising saying, hey, 13-year-old, come buy this from us.
Right.
They're marketing it so it's appealing to.
Exactly. Look at this. This is what the easiest way I used to explain it to us. Back when I was younger, cigarette companies would come after you, and it was the Marlboro Man.
Right.
Everyone wanted to be grizzly and riding fences, and the cowboy be
Right.
tough. Man,
Yeah.
you smoke cigarettes, you're tough. Well, look at it now. The vaping in itself, without the wax, without THC, it's just steam and water or however they're advertising it, right? Well, what's the best way to get kids to go after that? It's not the grizzly Marlboro bearded
No, it's
guy.
the fruity
it's
candy.
The fruity.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you
got
go.
it.
Let's go out. I mean,
Got
look
it.
at the little video games. They're little video games, little Candy Crush
Got
games
it,
and
yeah.
stuff, right? So they know exactly where to go and where to go after these kids from. The kids are just eating it up.
Yeah, and we
Absolutely.
run into that a lot. I've never seen this before until the last couple of years, where I get a lot of parents that are calling me and they're saying, "Do you guys treat my kids on? He's vaping. He or she is vaping." And I'll talk to him. Is there any other drug use going on? We'll get the kid in there. We'll do drug tests. There's no drugs going on, but the vaping is itself, with or without any THC in it, is becoming such a concern that parents are going, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like it's so hard to fight. Almost everybody's doing it."
Absolutely.
And
No,
it certainly
is.
probably isn't everybody, but a lot of kids are doing it. And from, whether you believe in gateway drugs or whatever, the behaviors behind vaping mimic what they will be doing later on in their
Absolutely.
drug use.
It's the exact same thing. Absolutely. Here's another, it's still talking about vaping and stuff, and there's theories, and I've come across it and talked about, you look at, let's say, kids when they were younger and just think chapstick.
Okay.
The legit chapsticks you put on in moisten, everything works. Think of all the knockoffs, and they put all the weird flavors in it, like a Dr. Pepper flavor or a strawberry flavor. And what does that do to your lip? It dries them out, right? Because it's an artificial flavor stuck in there.
Got it.
So now you're starting to read and look up and find, okay, you're taking that artificial flavor and you're inhaling it. You have all that going into your lungs, into your throat. Look what it's doing to the external skin. What's it going to do to the inside?
Yeah.
There's no research on it. Obviously, there's just concerned parents going, look, what is happening to my kid? This is what's happening. Comes to my attention, and then I try to find research on it and get the information. But if you think about it logically, it's the same thing. Advertise to the young kids, and then they take the little Dr. Peppers and have them put on their lips, and then it gets their lips get. It's the same thing.
And then as they get older, now there's some of the mixtures of the stuff that you put in the vape contains THC.
There you
right?
go. Yep.
And so now, and pay attention, parents, because they could, if you're allowing them to vape, they could be using THC right in front of you,
Right
and
in
you're
front of you.
not going to be able to tell by the smell.
Right.
And it's hard to get that across to parents, even younger parents, because even 10 years ago or so, when somebody was smoking weed or they had weed, you knew it.
Absolutely.
You knew it because you could smell it.
Yep.
And the good
Yep.
stuff, like you can smell it across the room.
Oh,
If
yeah.
somebody's got it in their pocket.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
No, not
I
even.
mean,
a
that
little
still
bit.
exists, but
It does.
they're doing it. I've heard a lot of stories about, the kids are doing it right in the classrooms at
Sure.
school and,
Sure.
and stuff. And
Absolutely.
it's just driving everybody crazy. with
It
that.
is. It really does. And the thing with even just the vaping, I've had parents tell me I'd rather my kid vape than smoke weed.
Right.
And then you tell them, like you were talking about, whether
they're
you
probably
believe
doing
in it.
both.
That's it, exactly.
Right.
And then you give them the information. You just educate it. And that's, like us as a team, that's part of it, is the education part. Once you provide that information to the parents, a lot of them are very thankful. A lot of them didn't know. They didn't think, they genuinely thought they were doing what was right for their kid, and you totally understood it. You totally get it.
Right.
And you just educate them a little bit and give them a little bit of other information of, hey, maybe try it this way, maybe not allow them. And then once they start to understand it, they come around.
Yeah, and it's the
really
same
do.
thing as, I think we still face this a lot when it comes to alcohol. I don't have the numbers sitting in front of me, but I would guess that alcohol is probably up there with marijuana
Absolutely.
use for the younger age as
Absolutely.
well. And a lot of parents have this idea, well, if I'm introducing it to them and they're just doing it at home, then it's going to be less harmful.
Right.
Well, let's rethink that. How
Absolutely.
about we introduce that it's not okay and it causes all this damage, and later on when you're 21 years old, then you can make that choice for yourself. But while you're in my home, it's not okay. We're not going to do that.
Exactly.
And then even to take it a step further, parents, let's model that behavior.
Sure. No, you're exactly
be
right.
An example.
You're exactly right. And I get parents, you talk specifically, you want to talk alcohol, and, what do I do? How do I do it? I said, well, where do you store? Where do you keep it? Something real simple. People hide above the fridge, wherever it is. I had a parent tell me, I hide it behind the Fruity Pebbles. I said, you hide your alcohol behind the cereal
that they're
you want your kids
every day.
want to go eat. And it's almost like you need someone from the outside just to tell you the simplest things. And it just dawns on you. The light goes on, and they go, oh, man, that is pretty dumb.
Yeah, you don't even think about it.
Yeah. Now go ahead and don't do that.
So at what age are they we'll call it graduating, right?
Sure.
At what age do they start graduating, where I think the next graduation of drug use is going to be with some of the prescription medications, especially the anti-anxiety stuff, the Xanax. Xanax is really popular amongst 16, 17-year-olds?
16, 17. And you could even start to see it in 15. What I relate it to when they start, like you said, graduating, they start jumping up a level, is when they start to care what other people think, how cool they are.
Okay.
Okay, am I cool? And then it becomes not so much worrying about, what am I going to play when I get home? It's, oh, man, I got grades. Oh, does so-and-so like me? Oh, man, my parents are starting to bug me. Oh, so-and-so's cool. How do I fit in? And then they start getting a little anxious. And their minds start thinking about it. So it's almost like, you can put the ages on it, absolutely, but it's almost like a puberty graduation of becoming of age, more of what are other people thinking about me at that point. And that's when I start talking to parents about the education side. What our team does is think of something as simple as everybody's got a prescription for something. They all have it. You lock it up. I have at home one of those prescription pills Sunday through Saturday, whatever it is, so I know. And then the rest, all the bottles, are sitting in a little safe. Kids don't know the combination. It's real simple. Every week on Sundays, I refill it all. I know what pills are gone, what pills aren't. A lot of parents aren't home. Kids come home when parents aren't there, and they have easy access. And it just starts, and the snowball starts coming. They start going after it, and it's like candy. But it also leads into, if you don't mind, just give me a couple seconds. And it talks to that community effect of raising a kid. It takes a village. You hear that? Mm-hmm. Let's say your family, you lock all your drugs up, you do everything. Well, what are the kids going to do? They're not dumb. Hey, let's go over to Joey's house, because his parents don't.
That's right.
So then you got to get past the stigma as a parent to say, hey, yes, my kid might have a problem. A lot of parents are embarrassed to say my kid has a problem. But as soon as parents realize their kids have a problem, they let friends know, neighbors know. Now the kids start knowing, hey, wait, if we go over to Johnny's house, Johnny's mom and dad have been talking to my mom and dad. My mom and dad get them to. So you know what I mean? It takes a bunch and a group of people, and parents, and one, not be embarrassed. And I know it's hard. Nobody wants to admit, oh, my kid is an addict. Oh, my kid has a drug problem. But not going in on your own, you know that. I mean,
isn't it cool to have a team effort, right?
Absolutely.
Talking to all of my kids' parents, and saying, hey, any of our kids could start using drugs.
Sir.
Let's all together be on this all the time. And when it comes to prescription medications, it is sometimes the most deadly, but certainly up there with some of the most deadly things that we'll come across. It's probably one of the most dangerous things that we have in our house. Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting that the most dangerous thing I have in my house is kept in the only place where a perfect stranger can come in and have total access to it.
There you go. Nail on
right?
the head.
In privacy. They can go in your bathroom and lock it up.
They know where to go.
Yeah, of course they do.
Absolutely. It's put to them, right?
So even if it's not your friends, your kids' friends are coming over and going, hey, you know what? So anybody who's got any kind of medical conditions, or there's elderly in the house, or anybody's been in a car wreck or anything like that, the teenagers know, hey, Johnny's mom just got in a car wreck. She's probably got some oxys in her bathroom.
They absolutely know.
And so they're coming over to the house and rifling through your medicine cabinet. So do yourselves a favor. Go spend $40 at Walmart and get yourself a little safe and put all your stuff in there, and don't tell your kid the combination.
Exactly.
We do that with our we do that with our guns, right?
Good.
We do that with the other dangerous things in our home. We keep cleansing products out of reach of children, right? Let's keep the other stuff out of reach of children too.
Absolutely, you brought up a great point.
And the Xanax turns oftentimes. I'm going to say Xanax, but there are other drugs too. Some of the common drugs, prescription medications that are abused are things like Adderall, Concerta, the ADHD medications, any of the benzos. So you got Valium, you have Xanax, you have Ativan, and a few more. And then we start getting into the opiates where you have Vicodin, Oxycontin, Norcos, all of that kind of stuff.
Pain meds.
That starts to turn into where the heroin use comes in.
That's
right?
where heroin comes in. Absolutely.
And we're talking, what, 16, 17, 18 years old is what?
Oh, yeah. No, and at that point, when they're 16, 17, you see a lot of they're using multiple types. They're just kind of starting to experiment with the harder, the opiums and stuff.
Right.
They're just starting to hit that. And then it's their transition into, okay, this is all I want. And they start fiending for it.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you see your kids' text messages and things like that, and they're talking about bars, oxys, roxys, any of that kind of any of that stuff right there, Norco, any of but oxy comes up, roxy comes up, bars, which is Xanax, Xannies, any of that stuff. If it's in their language, you have to pay attention to that.
Absolutely, and that's part of what I was saying about the education. When you talk to the parents, you get parents that will see that. One, you get parents that say, what do you mean, go to my kid's phone? Yeah, no, you can open your kid's phone.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's actually your phone.
Yeah, who's paying the check? And you can do it at your house. Same thing I tell them, well, what do you mean I can take the door off my kid's bedroom? It's your house. Right. You can go ahead and do that. But a lot of times they will read it, they will get it, and then they say, but I don't know what it means. I said, well, do you ask them? Well, I don't want to ask them and embarrass them. I said,
embarrass them. That's right.
You got to ask them. Ask them who their friends are. What's your friends' names? Where are you going? Well, no, what does this mean?
Right.
Put it to them. Make them go ahead and answer it. Don't take the easy way out and go, you know what, I'm not going to confront them about it. I'm going to go check it online. No. Don't go look at ask them. And then go do your own research to see if they're lying to you or not and figure it all out. Well,
if that kind of practice, what you're talking about is when parents get to you or they get to me, they're already, their kid is in a crisis. Yes. National statistics say that by the time a parent finds out that their kid's been using any kind of drugs, usually marijuana's first, that they've already been using it for at least 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
So your kid's been using for a year and a half by the time that you find out, and now it's a crisis. You're pretty deep into it already.
You are.
Start having the practice with your kids of that transparency. We're not talking about, it doesn't have to get to a point where I'm rifling through their stuff and taking their doors off the hinges.
No.
If at 10 years old, I'm having the conversation with my kid that says that everything that we do in this house is open for everybody to see because we're that kind of family. I don't have any secrets. You don't have any secrets. We're talking to each other's parents, to your friends' parents. You're going to know my friends, like all that stuff's going on. Then it doesn't have to be me rifling through their stuff. It's open to me all the time.
Right? You're exactly right. And starting at that young, that becomes a way of life for them.
Right.
So it's not a hard thing to talk to them
it's
about
open.
Anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's been open for so long. For them, it's even when they talk to their friends, and their friends, want to be secretive and have a conversation with them, and your kids are going, well, we talk about that stuff all the time.
Right.
It's not new to them. It's not a shock value to them to see that kind of stuff when the parents start that young. The problem running into is they may start young, and I find a lot of parents, they tell me it makes them tired. It's tired when we have to constantly be. I said, no, that's your job as a parent,
right.
is to constantly have to stay. Now, like you referenced before, don't be the helicopter parent, or what's the new one now, the lawnmower parent, right?
Cleaning everything up in front of them.
get everything out of the way for them to make
right.
them all so they don't have to do the work. You know what I mean? It's not doing that. It's something as simple as, and you're right, you don't want to go 0 to 100 and take the doors off. And, man, go sit in your kid's room. Go sit in your kid's room, and you'll know when something's out of place. Don't go in there and start rifling around. Just sit there. You'll start to notice. You'll start to notice. Wait, what happened to that picture? Why did that picture change? Why is the bed not made? There's certain little keys that will key you in on a change. I mean, we all know the behavioral changes, but something as simple if they're trying to hide it, like you said, they've already been smoking for a year to 18 months. Go into their rooms. Just sit down. I'll go in and just sit on my kid's floor, sit on their bed, and I'll just look around. You smell.
Yeah.
You go ahead and you look at how, are they clean? Are they not clean? How are they keeping? Are they still organized? Are they not? Is there the sudden change? I mean, it's something as simple as a lot of people don't give their kids rides to school or from school. And they're talking about, Travis, how do we figure out, how do I know my kid's doing any kind of drugs? And it's funny. I said, give them a hug. What do you mean give them a hug? He said, why you hug them? What do you do? Pay attention to what they smell like. Give them a whiff, give them a quick little sniff. Or when you're driving them home, or when you're driving home from school, man, shut up with their friends and listen. Listen to what they're talking about. Yeah. You got them in a confined space, and open up your eyes. Not only your eyes and your ears, open up your nose a little bit.
See what they're doing,
Absolutely.
And something I try to give to parents as well too, and I practice this in my home. Although I've gotten in a couple of sort of little not confrontational, but maybe arguments about this. Is the way that I practice my own life and my own social media is there's nothing on my Facebook that my kids can't look at. And if I'm living that way, that there's nothing in my life that I'm keeping secret, then I'm not passing that on to them.
Exactly.
Is I want to live the kind of life where it's an open book and you can come on in, and you can look at what you want. And I'm a model for my kids.
Exactly.
And they can go ahead, check my Facebook. And if anybody, I have lots and lots of friends, professionally and otherwise. And if stuff rolls on there that I'm not personally okay with, what I do is that friend goes bye-bye, because I don't want my kids to see that. And so we start that very early. And, my boys are 6 and 8 years old, and they are already rolling there. They're like, Dad, we're talking about that again. Yes, we're going to keep talking about that.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's very important. And,
yes.
And sometimes I get a little pushback. I think I've had people say I'm a little too honest with my kids, but I think it's better that they learn it from me and the truth about what's going on in our world so that they can see it rather than learn it from this thing right here.
You got it.
Because
don't
they're
learn from the social media.
Man,
yep.
You're going to get all kinds of points of view on there, and I want them to know the truth. And so as parents, we need to be transparent and live as a model for our kids, right?
Absolutely. And they know you care. They know.
Of course.
I mean, if you're involved with that, they're going to know you care. They may hate you at this point.
Yeah.
But they're going to know you care.
And even later on, if they don't agree with it, I want my kids to be able to say, you know what, I'm not doing that because my dad is on my stuff. He's going to be all over it, and I can't. No, I'm cool. And make the right choices. So when we come back, we're going to flash through a couple of different pictures so that parents, if they are looking around or taking the time to sit in their kids' rooms, that if they see any of these items. That they'll know what they are. And some of the items that we're going to show, these are items that you take out and do presentations with to educate parents, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about how parents can access that as well, and then we'll go through the different pictures that we have, and anybody who's watching online can see what we're talking about. You can access this video later on Facebook. You can go to our website and access the podcast. You can go to KHTS and access the podcast there, and you can see live Facebook feed, so you'll see the screen that we're talking about. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and I am in studio with Travis Sabadin from the J team. That's the juvenile intervention team in Santa Clarita. And I want to wrap up real quick talking about, 16, 17, 18 years old, we're seeing where the heroin use really begins, right? And the introduction to heroin today, as opposed to what it was in the past, is much different. It's a lot of kids are smoking it. It's introduced as it's not that big of a deal because you're just smoking it. You can't get addicted. Is that true to that age group right there?
Absolutely true. And a lot of it, you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about, we can't get addicted, we can't do certain things. But what it becomes is now, it used to have a stigma about it. Heroin used to have that, the dirty part of it. Oh, no, you're not going to want to do all that. Well, now that stigma's gone. It's not there anymore. And then you're running the same thing when you're talking into meth and stuff. Right. The stigma's gone. You get rid of the stigma, is gone. There's really nothing holding them back at that point now, keeping them from going, oh, shoot, if I do this, now all of a sudden I am not going to be the cool. Well, now it doesn't matter. And they're going in, they're getting into it at that point.
Right. And then it's only a matter of time. Not everybody goes to intravenous use, but a lot of people do.
Right.
And we're really seeing that at 17, 18, 19 years old. I know that you guys are the juvenile intervention team, but would it be safe to say that you're seeing the same thing we are in terms of the biggest number of people that have the most severe drug problems, and the ones that we're seeing in treatment is between 18 and, say, 25, 27 years old?
26. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. That's it.
And I would gather to say that if you did a poll across the United States in treatment centers, it would be consistent with what we're seeing. Probably 50%, if not more, of our population across the board is going to be that age group right there. Sure. So even though we're talking juvenile intervention, we're really, in a lot of ways talking about young adult, transitional age youth, college age youth, because that, anybody who's listening, take yourself back there. At 19 years old, I certainly was probably the most severe I would ever be in my drug use, but you couldn't have told me I had a problem, because at 19, 20, 21 years old, it feels like we got the world by the tail, and I got this, and, that's part of our developmental stage. At that age, we're supposed to feel a little bit invincible because we're out conquering the world or doing whatever if we're healthy. But in drug use, it's really difficult to treat that population because it's hard to tell them they have a problem.
Yeah, they can do no wrong. And You're talking about how nothing can hurt me. I'm okay. I can do whatever I want. I'm like you said, invincible. And that's why the smoking part of it, and they don't go straight to the intravenous, is because when they're smoking it, it's smoking isn't going to get me. Cigarettes don't
I can't overdose on it.
I have no problem.
Which is not true, by the way.
Yeah, no, that is absolute. And when you're talking about overdose and stuff, I don't know if this will digress a little bit, but I wanted to get out there, is you run into the food that has the marijuana in it, and you talk about the gummies and
talk
stuff.
about that for a minute. So the edibles.
Yes, the edibles.
So THC can come in any edible form.
Right.
Some popular ones are like gummy bears, right?
Gummy bear, anything. It could be a gummy, any type of gummy. And how we relate it how we look at it from the J team and the juveniles is kids like the gummies. That's what they like. The problem is that they're running into is the parents or anybody is making these gummies. And what happens when you ingest anything? How long does it take for it to affect and get your bloodstream in your body? So what the kids are doing, younger kids are going, oh, cool, look, gummy bear. Then it's, oh, cool, look, gummy bear has something in it. But they're taking one or two and they're going,
they're waiting
this
10 minutes.
Exactly. This stuff isn't working. So what do? They go back to the bowl or however it's displayed. They grab and they have more. Then they go back, grab, wait, why is it? This stuff isn't even working. And pretty soon the whole bowl's gone. And in half hour, 45 minutes, oh, crud. Then it all hits them like that. So you got to be cognizant of the edibles, especially around kids, and it's the same thing, gummy, fruity. Yeah, they're going to be all over it.
Yeah, so if you're out there doing that, and you maybe you'll understand this lingo. It's creeper. Sit back and wait. Don't keep doing it because you can overdose on that stuff by taking too much.
Absolutely.
And it's not regulated. So let's say, for instance, the four of us that are sitting in the room went out and got a cookie, and we're going to split that cookie 4 ways. We don't know if most of the THC is going to be on your quarter, or mine. And so we might split that cookie 4 ways, and I take so much that I overdose, and you guys just barely get a buzz because you can't regulate the mixture like that either. And you don't know how much is going in as far as THC content. And that's one of the things that governments are trying to get on board with is regulating how that's distributed. Because right now, the way the law sits, anybody can grow it, anybody can make it, anybody can do whatever they want to do. Now, I don't know that anybody can sell it. I think you have to have there's some regulation on that.
That's when the law comes in.
But, we could all make it in our own homes and distribute it to each other for recreational use. Absolutely. And the same thing applies, is all of a sudden I'm calling 911 because my friends are having panic attacks or they're overdosing and we're having to go to the hospital just from weed, folks.
Absolutely.
It's dangerous stuff.
Absolutely.
Pay attention to it, So
and I want to piggyback on what you just said about when friends overdose and there's something you can do. There's a stigma out there talking to the kids. They don't know what to do. Right. They're at a party, you're hanging out with friends, and somebody overdoses. You see them fall out, you see them pass out, you see them seize out, whatever. They don't know what to do. And it's really hard to convince them and tell them, you will not get in trouble. Let me repeat that. Right. You will not get in trouble if you call 911 and help for a friend, a relative, a loved one, anyone, to get help from overdosing. It will not matter to the people showing up. They will help that person no matter what. So just so you guys out there, if you're listening, kids, anything, get the people their help. If you're with friends, man, get past the fact you're doing something that you shouldn't be wrong, whatever. Get past it. Your friends need help at that point. And you will not get in trouble for calling to get them help.
Yeah, something interesting. I saw a study a few years back when we were talking about that Good Samaritan law had just passed. And so there is a law in place that says that if you call 911 because somebody is overdosing with you, that you won't get in trouble for being under the influence, unless, of course, you're putting other people in danger. I mean, there are some exceptions, right?
Absolutely.
You know, you can't be driving around all wasted.
No.
And you can't have massive amounts and be a drug dealer selling all that. You can't have that stuff. But if you're using, and the statistic that I saw was roughly 80% of people that are using opiates use with somebody else. But the overdose victims, when they find them, more than 80% of the time they find them alone.
By themselves.
Right? And
Absolutely.
so what's happening is people are overdosing and everybody goes, oh, shucks, we're out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And they split and leave the person alone.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to do that, call 911 first. And you know what I mean? Like, get them the help that they need. And because this talk to the hospital emergency rooms and they're driving by and dumping people out of cars.
It happens. People think, oh, that's
you know?
only in the movies. No, that actually happens. We got a phone call to the team, and the guy was actually wanting to file a complaint for us to go talk to the people he was actually getting high with. He OD'd. They took him out of the house and went down the street and left him there. And he was mad that they left him there. They didn't do anything.
Right?
So he wants us to go back to the house, and we're going, oh, man.
Yeah.
And you talk about the Good Samaritan, a lot of kids don't understand it pertains to them. I mean, they're kids. They don't understand. Okay, the adult. No, it also works for you kids. Absolutely give people a call to get those other people help.
Yeah, and if there's any stigma, if anybody ever gives you a hassle for that, tell them, you know what, there's nothing wrong with, I'm not a snitch if I save my friend's life.
Exactly.
Like I'm doing a good thing here and
really
get that through and get that through.
Are.
So let's go through some of these pictures that we have up here. So parents, pay attention. These are some of the pictures, some of the items that you take out. Who do you educate, and who can get educated? Let's do that. If I wanted my school group or my PTA or my scouts or something, just call you guys, and you guys will come out and do a visit.
Absolutely. Here, we as a J team sits right now, we are here to help anybody that wants to. We actually have on our calendars, we have dates set up to go to different organizations, from PTAs to schools. We'll go give talks. We go to hospitals. We'll go anywhere and present. And a lot of times these are pictures that we take, that we have actually got all this paraphernalia you see right here, is not only from buses, from people's houses, it's from kids that we've talked to, and they've just had it on them. Right. And then we learn at the same time. We grab them and we go, oh, this is what you guys are using? How is this working? But no, you contact the J team anytime through the station. We're actually working right now as we speak. We're trying to get together to get us an Instagram. Had to go to the kids for how to do all that, but we're actually looking to get online and get our own
hire a 13-year-old.
That's it. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. We're going to do that. So that's what, if you're looking at the screen right now, that's what you're seeing. Different paraphernalia you can find that's just from household stuff, and it's made into the way they use drug. If you look at the bottom left, I mean, what's that? It's a lint roller.
Right.
How easy is that? How many people have their kids have lint rollers in their room? I mean, it's something real simple. It's just pop off the top. And that's just used for storage. It's not, that particular item right there is purely storage.
So pay attention. Kids will find really tricky ways to stash their stuff. A lot of it is odorless. You can't tell. So a lint brush, which is up there, has a big hollow inside on it.
Yeah, because if you pop the top off of it inside, it's completely, you can see the lid right
So
above
what's up with the Hawaiian Punch can?
The Hawaiian Punch is like any other can. It's the same. How many times have you... you can actually buy them Amazon, and they have a false bottom in the cans. You know what I mean? You can actually have the liquid, and what they'll do is they'll refill the liquid, and it looks like it's actually closed in a full can of whatever they want to put in it. Yeah. But the bottom of it, that's not. That's where they store and keep all their stuff, is right there.
So parents, you can go on to some websites and find, Google in stash containers and see what comes
up.
False bottom cans, and you can see all the tricky ways that they do. I remember when I was probably, 19, 20 years old, a guy that I knew used to keep he had a fake fire extinguisher that he kept in his car. And you could keep a lot of dope in there, a lot of drugs. What's going on with the tennis ball?
The tennis ball is another storage. Think of, we actually got this, sounds horrible, you actually get this from tennis players. I mean, how many, when you have a bag of, you don't walk around with one or two tennis balls.
Got it.
You have a bag of them. Well, they know which ones to go after, so they're transporting that bag to school, from school, to a friend's house. All right, Mom and Dad, we're going to go play some tennis. Well, you don't know what's sitting in that ball. All they do is they just slice it open, slide it in there, and it closes it right back up.
Right.
You'd have to go through each individual ball, and it goes back like we were talking about before. Grab the bucket of balls and shake each one. That's your job as a parent. That's
Bounce it.
That's
bounce
anything.
it.
Just okay.
Yeah.
This one weighs different. Oh, what the heck? And guess what? You can slice it open. Ruin a ball. Cut it open. Oh, I didn't know it was in here. I'm cutting it open. Just do it as a parent. Be proactive in it.
Yeah, I think it's like a buck and a half for $3.
Yeah, exactly. You can
cheap.
get tennis balls all day long.
And
but it's easier for them to hide it that way because it's amongst a whole bunch of tennis balls.
And pay attention, folks. You know, the face of drug use and drug addiction is not what it used to be. We have, we have the champion tennis players that are using drugs. We have sports. Your kid can be doing great in school and still using drugs. So pay attention whether or not the obvious signs are there.
No, you're exactly right. And just to go off of that is, it doesn't matter now. Black, brown, white. Age, rich, poor, you know better than anybody else. It doesn't matter. It's going across the board. And I had a mom talking one time. I was talking to a group of parents who she was afraid. This was her first time. I said, okay, first time, glad you're here. She goes, I was afraid to come here because I didn't want my kid to be around all the other addicts.
Right.
And I said, ma'am, do you understand that your kid is one of those addicts
right.
that now that's all around? It's one of those stigmas. It's the embarrassment part. You gotta get past it.
I always deliver this in the nicest possible way, but I hear this a lot. I don't want my kids hanging out with those kids. And the way my comeback is always this, and again, in the nicest possible way, I go, excuse me, man, but your kid is one of those kids.
You got it. You're nicer than me.
You know.
You do it nicer than I do. I just tell them, nope, that's your kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the stuff up in the right corner, that's a lot of, that's heroin and opiate use?
You got it. That's exactly how it goes from when you're not hiding it to actually out in the open, and that's how they're doing it.
So a lot of heroin is used by smoking it on tinfoil. That's what we're looking at in the top right-hand corner is a piece of tinfoil opened up.
Tinfoil with it opened up, and they hide it in a glass case.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you're finding, parents, if you're finding rolled up pieces of tinfoil, put it this way: if your kid has a tinfoil roll in their rooms, there's a problem.
There's no reason tinfoil should be in your kids' rooms.
Another thing, and I don't know if I see it up here, but with intravenous use as well, if you find Q-tips with one end ripped off or both ends ripped off, the cotton on the Q-tips is used for intravenous drug use. So if you're finding Q-tips in your kids or your young adult's room and there's ends that are ripped off, or if you're finding cigarette butts where the cotton part of the butt has been pulled out of the cigarette, that is also a cotton used for intravenous drug use as well.
Now, if you notice too, in the bottom right, that's a light bulb.
So that's for primarily methamphetamine use?
We're doing meth. So parents, what they'll do is, I'm changing the light bulb. That's all I'm doing. Mom, Dad, hold on. I'm just changing light bulbs. And parents just don't even pay attention to it. So they just have a light bulb in their room. It's an old light bulb, whatever. They didn't throw it away. And they'll actually throw it away into the trash can. Now the kids know, okay, I'll just let it sit in the trash can. So when the parents come into my room, they think, oh, the bulb's there. I just haven't emptied my trash. And they'll just keep that there.
I know from the enforcement side, you guys are probably hip to this, but we used to just screw them right back into
that. Absolutely.
And
put
just
them right
keep
back.
them up in the thing up there.
Absolutely.
And hope they don't look when they come right the house.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yeah. We have some more pictures up here. We're going to roll to the next one. So we're talking about the vaping, right?
There you go. That's what the vaping is. Absolutely.
So pay attention. Oftentimes, will the labels say if there's THC on them?
They do.
But the kids will rip the labels off, right?
Labels off, or they'll use different bottles.
Okay.
They'll take the liquid and they'll go, oh, hey, man, just either rip the label off or grab one that says it doesn't, and they'll just...
And so these other things, these are some of the modules that they use to vape with, right?
Right.
And so, it's interesting when I see these guys with their vapes, it reminds me back in the day we used to have, and I'm sure they still do, all kinds of different pipes and things and it was kind of like, oh, check out my new glass bong, check out my new glass pipe, and taking the pieces and exchanging them. Mm-hmm. They do the same thing with the vape today.
Same exact
It's
thing.
the same drug.
Same exact thing. Yeah. Absolutely. I know if there is another picture we pull up now, it's been around for a while, they call them the G-pins, where they have the actual little cartridges that they actually put in. And it looks, and the reason those are more popular is they actually look like a pin.
Okay.
So you're holding onto it, and a lot of people think, oh, I have a pin. No, that's not an actual click pen, ink pen. There's a little cartridge that...
Well, they have them the size, they're just slightly larger than credit cards now, too. Square
there
like
you go.
That, right? I don't know the names of those, but those are another popular one.
Nope, absolutely.
All right. So we have, You can go to the podcast, listeners, and you can look at these pictures as well and get yourself familiar. Even better yet, call the J Team and set up a presentation. What are the phone numbers? How do they get a hold of you, Travis?
The phone number, you can go on the website, go to Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station on the website, and you'll get exact numbers to come in and give us a conversation. I know personally, I have my own business line. You can call me directly anytime for any concerns. I have people from other states have contacted me. And we are all there. The team will constantly answer all the phones all the time. I don't know if I'm allowed to give out my
by
cell
all
number.
means, if you
Absolutely.
want to.
If you want to call me, Travis Intervention Specialist, it's area code 661-607-2038.
One more time, 607?
661-607-2038 for anything from alcohol to opiates and what our team does is we can get you from counseling, residential treatment, 6-month year. We do the whole gamut. I like to tell people I'm the Costco. I'm the Costco of your rehab. Whatever you need, whatever you want, we're going to be there. And I answer my phone 365, 24/7.
So these are huge topics that we could sit and talk about all day. Obviously, I would love to have you back on, and we'll do some more stuff later on. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
This is the Way Out. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour, and we will see you next time.